Aloha Workshop series, we're going to cover event menu planning. And event menu planning is kind of a term that in our emails we explicitly went on to explain a little bit more. But what we're looking at is using the system events and the tools that are built into Aloha to go ahead and make changes so that we can pre-plan ahead, knowing that we've got an event coming up and have this stuff already set up in the computer and tested and ready to go. So these changes can be ongoing, so they can be changes that take place for a month. They could be ongoing, meaning they're just going to be for a meal period, or these can be changes that take place over happy hour and so forth in our tools. So I want to cover a few little notes here as we go through it. First of all, what we're going to be doing is making some buttons appear for a limited time. So the example case that we're looking at here for making a button appear for a limited time would be, say, we have a Tuesday dinner special. During Tuesday night, we can make a meatloaf button appear on the screen and then vanish at the end of the night when that special is over. Or during happy hour, we can have a half price pitchers button appear, and then that button can disappear when happy hour ends. We can also change the price for a limited time. So we can take an existing item. We're not changing the button, we're just changing the price of it for that time frame. These would be things like we want to do half price mimosas for Easter, something to that effect. We can also change many prices, and this is what we typically do in your establishments for happy hour. This is how it's enacted. We use these system events that we're going to cover here today to take a whole range of items and change all of their prices at once. And then we can also turn on and off promotions or comps. So for example, if your establishment does something like on Sundays, you do a buy one, get one free pizzas. This would be an example of that. We would turn the promotion on Sunday, and then it would turn itself off at the end of the day. Also here, we can change the entire menus and add sub-menus. So the example here for changing an entire menu would be if we had a banquet event or we wanted to use just a banquet menu on Mother's Day. We're not doing regular restaurant service. We could still have our staff come in and clock in like they normally would, but they would see the entire menu replaced with the limited menu that was for that event. You can also go ahead and replace just individual sub-menus. So your menu looks the same, but instead of the category where you have like beverages or sandwiches, we could have one inserted there that says Monday specials or Tuesday specials or Wednesday specials, and that would be the top one or the bottom one on your page, and that would just change every day to reflect different specials. So those are kind of the examples. Before we begin, I want to make a couple assumptions here just so we're on the same page for where we're going forward. One, I'm going to cover the process of using these items and go ahead and how we make them appear or disappear, change the price. I'm not going to walk through right now on creating the item. So if you are looking for that, we have other training tools, and that's kind of a basic thing. I have recorded webinars, and we can help you with that if that's something you need an explanation of with as well. But I'm making the assumption here that you've already created the items, you've already routed them, meaning told them which printer you want them to go to, and that you've also already assigned them to categories so that they would be affected by comps and so forth. Also, if you're going to be doing any promos, that the promos are planned out. And the easiest way to do that is actually to build and test your promotion on a different item or a limited item beforehand, just to make sure that it's ringing in and behaving properly the way that you expect it. The one thing I do want to stress, and I'm going to say it a couple times as we go through this, we always give a best practice in Aloha that we don't want you to delete things. We disable them, we deactivate them, we make them terminated, we copy them to others and replace them with different items, but we don't actually hit the delete button. And that's going to be super important as we get a little bit into some things in here because the system events that we're going to be looking at, if you deleted some of them, they may have some greatly unintended consequences. What that would mean is if you actually did delete something that was important, we would actually just roll back your system and undo those changes. So we could get your system up and running again, back to the way it was, but you may have wasted some time and some work as you're going through this. So the steps that we're going to take here is you plan out the event. So this is where you are actually sitting down with your staff or sitting down as yourself, and you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, what are we going to do for Mother's Day? Are we going to run a half off? Are we going to do a buffet on that day where we need to set up and add some buttons for buffet? Or if we're going to try to increase our late night business, are we going to start running a special late in the evening? And this is just the planning, sort of the brainstorming event. You'll know that as you spend more and more time doing these events in Aloha, instead of you just doing a blanket brainstorm, you'll usually tend to tailor the events in your planning stage to the things that you feel comfortable doing in Aloha. And that's okay. If there's things that you want to do that are outside of your comfort level in Aloha, you've never actually done that type of promo or event before, you're more than welcome to give us a call and we can help you set that up or talk about what the pros and cons would be or the limitations of something that you're considering doing. If you're doing things that you're used to doing, then this will be very straightforward as we go through it. So then if you do that, you want to go ahead and make the promo or make the price change for that item. And we are going to talk a little bit about that here. I'm not going to walk through all of the basics of configuring the promo and the price change, but I am going to show you some pitfalls or some specific choices that you want to make when you are setting up your promo and your price change. And then I want you to test it. And I kind of want to stress that a little bit just because so often people skip on the testing stage. They don't actually test the promo to make sure until the time it's open. And then, there's a little bit additional stress on both you and your staff because it didn't perform as expected. You wanted it to only work on one pizza, but instead it works on all pizzas or something to that effect. Just an unforeseen implementation of it. So testing helps rule that out and make sure that it's working as you wanted it to before the day that we actually get to. So then the things that we're really going to take an in-depth look at here are going to be these last two steps. We really want to look at adding the necessary activation schedules. And while that sounds like a big thing, that's actually really simple. That's just adding a time of day. It's like adding we're going to start, we want something to activate at Wednesday at 5. That's what an activation schedule is. And then we're going to set the system event. And the system event is saying, okay, now what are we going to do and when are we going to do it? So that's the kind of in-depth part we're going to do here at the end. Nothing very stressful. One thing I want to say just before we get into it, especially if you haven't been exposed to this, when you log into the new Aloha Manager in the back of the house, you're going to be greeted like this. And it may look a little bit different. Mine has a white screen in the middle. That's actually a web page, so yours may be black, or it may have white text on it, or it may have a logo, and that's okay when it changes because that's just pointing to a website so that we can share with you important information. But up in the top right corner of your screen, you have an info button up here. And if you've ever pressed on that, you can see there's some choices that come down when we push on it. The Aloha Manager overview that it comes right there, that actually opens up the website that is the help files for your version of Aloha. So if we were to go ahead and click on this Aloha Manager overview, what it would give us is this. It opens up a website where we can actually go and do searching, and we can look up things, and there's tutorials and guides for how to do things. The guideline I usually give people when they look something up on here is, if you read the description of something and it doesn't make sense, that probably wasn't what you were looking for. But in our case, what I really want you to know is that if you hit F1 on your keyboard at any time when you're in the Aloha Manager, not only will it bring you up the help files for your version of Aloha, but it will actually bring you up the help file for the specific version of the page that you were looking at. So here I was looking at event schedules and I had a question, so I hit F1 and it brings me right to the help for the event schedule so I can see the settings and what's going to happen if I click this checkbox, or what do these two different options mean. So you always have a reference sheet to go back in here too, so if you don't quite remember something I said, but you just need something to point you in the right direction, just remember that you can always hit F1 when you're in your system to get a little bit more information about what you're looking at. Okay, so now actual things. So when we go into maintenance, and here we're going to go take a look at doing a price change. So in this case, this is when I talked about we want to make a change to an existing item. Whether it's happy hour and we're going to cut the price of our well drinks in half, or if we're going to drop the certain special items to a limited price for Memorial Day or Labor Day, this is where we would do it. So under pricing, maintenance pricing, and price changes, you get a list of price changes. This is the way the screen looks when we come into it. And what you have here is a list of your price changes, and just like everywhere else in Aloha, this is your pull down that shows them. We could search through them with the search box in the top right corner, but you probably won't need to for price changes, although we do have some sites that have about 100 price changes in effect, or have over the years, and they're still there. But what we're looking here is now we are looking at price changes in the top left corner. So that means that on the right side, all of these buttons pertain to that. So this would be to create a new price change, edit a price change, delete a price change, or copy a price change. In this instance, most of the time, what we're just going to do is we're going to create new and do a new price change. What I don't want you to do is hit delete on this right side, not just here, but almost all the time in Aloha. We don't want you to delete items because of unforeseen consequences. The system doesn't like it when there's an item already ordered and then it vanishes. And same here with deleting these dates. They may be inactive, and that's okay to just leave them in there rather than have to go ahead and delete them. The important part we're looking at here is we want to make sure that the dates for the POS activation, the start date here and the end date, are both around the event that we're doing. So if we're going to do Mother's Day on the 14th, you can see here I made this price change able to be used between the 13th and the 15th. I gave myself a little padding because maybe I want to make it take effect on the 13th so I can see it and test it, those types of things. And then this portion here just indicates the dates that we're going to be using in the range. The tabs behind it here are what kinds of changes we want to do. So we could make changes here to a promo, where we said promo normally takes $5 off if you have this coupon, but on Sundays we're going to let it take $10 off instead of $5, and we would do that under there. But most of the time what you'll actually be doing is on the items tab here. So if we go to the items tab, you have a list of every item that's currently on your system. So if we needed to create one for the system for an event, we would have created it ahead of time, and then it would be in this list already. And we can sort it, we can search it, we can look up and down and reorganize them. But what it's showing here in this column is this is the default price. So on the third tab, when you're creating an item, you get to set the default price. This is not for button pricing. So if you happen to have something button price, it may not be working as you intended. You want to make sure that the item is using the default price. And then whatever we type in the second column right here is what the new price will be when we go ahead and make this price change take effect. So here you can see I was typing in just half price for a Bloody Mary. And then the action column on the right, you can't type in. It's just putting it, rewording it so that you can make sure that it's doing what you intended to do. So if you type in $1, you're not thinking, I'm taking $1 off. It's showing you that it decreased the price by $1 as opposed to changing the price to $1. Those types of things. It's just verifying on the right side another way to see the same thing worded so you can confirm that's what you meant it to do. So we can go ahead and for every item we want to take effect all at one time, all the price changes that are going to take effect simultaneously, we can do them all at once by scrolling up and down here and putting in the new prices of those items. Now this isn't something that you would want to do for doing an actual, like, I'm going to raise all the prices on my menu by a quarter. This is not the best way to do that. And we would want to go in and change those in the default price. But for doing the limited time events or changing happy hours or specials or daily prices, this is the way that we go in and do it. Okay? So once we have done that, the other thing that we may want to take a look at are promotions. So when we go into maintenance, payments, and then promotions, okay, we're going to take a look at one in a setting that you need to adjust in that. So normal things for here setting up the promo are going to work exactly the same. You're still going to choose the items as if you were setting up a regular promotion, the requirements, if they have to spend a certain money or how much it applies. But again, we want to make sure that it's eligible to be done during the starting and ending dates. So we want to make sure those are around the ranges that we're going to be using it. And then if we don't want it on now, but we're going to turn it on later, we're going to actually make sure that it's not active. So we want to make sure that the button active is not selected, because that's what we're going to use the system event for doing. We're going to use the system event to go ahead and press that check mark to make that promo active at the time that we want to use it. So we're going to go ahead and create it. It's just not going to be active. And then we don't have to worry about our staff using it now or poking it and ringing things in or trying to discount stuff. We'll be able to control when we turn that on and off. Once we do that, the big portion of what we're going to be doing here is all going to be done under System Settings, Activation Schedules. So you can see actually that the next part we're going to be doing is located right below this right there at Event Schedules. So right now we're going to look at Maintenance, System Settings, Activation Schedules, and then we're going to come back and do Maintenance, System Settings, Event Schedules there. And those are very closely related, and we can actually jump back and forth between them once we're into them. So if we go ahead and click through here, and we go look at it, this is the activations main screen. So the activations here, the portions of it, we have a list of the ones that we've already set up. So this is every day at 5 o'clock, okay? And we would have a whole list of them here when we click this pull down. This is the name of it, that it's called Daily at 5 o'clock. That doesn't mean that that's telling it to do anything in that portion. That's just the name. We named it as clearly as we could so that it would be easy for us to find it out of the list. But you could also have this listed as start happy hour, Easter buffet, New Year's Eve special, things like that. The portion that actually tells it what it's doing is down here below the blue line. And so we can either click this, which means it's at start of day. That's not a specific time. That just means that after your system has run its end of day in the middle of the night, like at 3 or 4 a.m., that's what time the system would go ahead. As soon as it was done running its end of day and everything started, then that activation schedule would take effect. Since we don't have that selected, then we can go ahead and enter in the specific time. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a daily one. But if we click the black arrow in the top right corner next to the word new, it lets us choose other types besides just daily. When I click there, I get a pull down here, so I can choose that I want it to make an event that takes place daily or weekly or maybe just once a month if I was doing something on the 15th of the month or if I was doing something on the 1st of the month. There's a lot of different reasons you could do those specials. Also, if you were just doing it on a specific date. So the specific date just lets us choose a date. It just pops up a calendar and lets us choose what day we want that to take effect on. So that's how we would trigger something to take effect. New Year's Eve, Easter, those types of things. We have to know what date it's on. It's not going to give us a list of holidays, but we would go ahead and choose the date for it. The most common one that you actually end up doing, however, is the weekly ones. And when we do the weekly one, it's going to give you some other choices where we get to choose both the time and the date. So here's for the specific date. The specific date, I chose Mother's Day, and I entered in the date that Mother's Day was going to fall on, okay? And I told it I wanted to be the start of the day on that day. If I chose a weekly from that pull down, you can see I can still choose whether it's going to be the start of the day, or if I unselected that, it would let me choose what time, but then I get to go down here and choose which days of the week it's going to take effect. So this is how we set up your happy hour. We pick a start time for happy hour, and then I choose the days of the week that your happy hour is going to take effect. So if I was doing one from 4 to 6, Monday through Friday, I can click here for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, check all of those. I would unselect start of day, and then I would go ahead and tell it that I want it to start in at 4 o'clock, which is in military time, so it would be 1600 hours. And then I'm going to have to create another event that says end of happy hour. Okay, so every time we change, so I'd have to create one that says start of happy hour at 4 p.m. and then I would have to create an end of happy hour event at 6 p.m. Okay, so anytime we're going to turn something on or turn something on or start a schedule, we need to add it in here and create an activation schedule. And they're basically like if we were looking at a planner for today, it's just what time we want an entry to be in that. Or if you're looking at your smartphone, what time do you want an alarm to go off to remind you to make a change? Anytime you want to set an alarm to have something happen, we need to create it in activation schedules. This one here, you can see I've done a Tuesday special and then only selected Tuesday, start of day. So this is the same thing that we use when we set up your daily specials, or if you have a nightly special in your establishment. If we're gonna do half price margaritas on Tuesday for Taco Tuesday, then we would go ahead and set this up by selecting Tuesday, start a day, and then we would have done a price change that changed the margarita price from $5 to $2.50. If we're doing the start of happy hour, here's where I said we want to do it 4 o'clock. So I unselected it. I put 4 o'clock in here, military time. Happy hour is starting, and then I chose the 5 days that I want it to take effect on. And again, I would have to make a different one with 1800 and call it happy hour end to have happy hour shut off at the end of that time. Otherwise, if I don't put an end time and I just start a function, it will run until the very end of the day. Okay. Then after we've created the times that we're going to make the changes, then all we have to do is go ahead and create the event for that. So we go over into the event schedule. And when we do that, again, it's maintenance, system settings, event schedule. The event schedule page is kind of blank. You're not really going to see anything here. You may possibly have a couple different event schedules. Usually you'll probably only have one, and it'll be the default one that loads here that says your restaurant's name and event schedule. If you say had multiple locations and you had copied over specials from your other location when we set you up to keep those specials in place, or a new store, you may have a second one that shows imported schedule as well. Okay. Now these events on the right side here, right, I've got new, edit, everything along the right. Again, these all refer to event schedule because that's what we're looking at. And one more time, I really want to stress, we don't press the delete button over here and delete those schedules, because if we did that, that would delete all of the schedules. So you would have deleted all of your happy hours, all of the menu changes that are in your system. It would not be able to run end of day because end of day is an event in your system. We just want to make sure that we don't press this delete button over here, okay? Not trying to scare you, just we're going to have to undo and roll back your system if you do that change. So everything we are actually going to want to do is actually here on the second tab if we click over to the events. So if we click to the events tab over here, this is your system's to-do list. And every day when your system wakes up in the morning, so after it's run its end of day, the system looks at this calendar of events and says, what do I have to do today? And it goes line by line down this list and it looks at it and says, does this apply to me today? No, it does not. So I'm just going to ignore this one. Does this one apply to me today? No, it does not. Does this one apply to me? And it goes through the entire list and finds all the things that it has to do today in this activation schedule, right? So these were specific date ones that are no longer in effect. You can see we had ones in here from Valentine's Day, and we had Mother's Day when that took place, and we had one in here for St. Patrick's Day. So as we go through and schedule all of these things, we can give them start dates, end dates. If we're going to run just for this year, we want to run our happy hour. If we wanted to run Tuesday specials for this year or this football season, we can go ahead and set start dates and end dates for them. Okay. And you can see, much like in anything now, if we have a underlined word, that means we can click on it. It's a link. So if I get here and I start looking at my event schedules and I'm missing an activation schedule, I forgot to put in a time, we can just click this link right here and it'll take us directly into our activation schedules that we just looked at. We can go ahead and add a new one, and then when we hit close, it will take us back where we came from. So right back here to our event schedules. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at some lines, each of these individual lines, and then we're going to go ahead and these are the options it gives me will change at the bottom half of the screen based on which one I have selected. On the right side here, I just want to draw attention that everything that's over your event schedule at the top left, so that's what these buttons are about. But what we want to do is we're going to do the ones just to the left of that. So when we add something or add a new event, we're going to be using this set of buttons right here, not this stuff on the far right, okay? So as we go through and do that, we can click add, and when we hit add to add an event to its list of things it's going to do today, it gives us a pretty long list here of things that we can choose from. Most of these you will not have to ever mess with. So end of day already exists in your system, and we can use this to reroute printers and other things that your technicians who maintain your system are going to do quite a few events in. The ones that we're going to be looking at are things like set server menu, because that's how we go ahead and have the whole menu change. And we do that already in your systems quite a bit. If that's something that we use to switch it over, if your menu changes from breakfast to lunch, then we use this event here, set server menu, to tell it, okay, at 11 o'clock when lunch starts, we're going to go ahead and start showing the servers the lunch menu instead of the breakfast menu. Okay, so this is how it's always been done. There's some other ones that we can take a look at in here as well when we go through it. So the first one we're going to look at is if we chose activate price change. So this is where I was saying we would trigger a happy hour, or we just want to make a change to one or more than one items. Okay. So we've already set up the price change where we told it what the new price is going to be and which items we're going to make a change to. Okay. So we choose activate a new price change. Okay. Down below then we have to go to price change and choose which one of those price changes we are going to take in effect. So if it's going to be happy hour, we would be looking for happy hour here. If it was Tuesday special, we would be looking for the Tuesday special. And then the revenue center, for the most part, you're going to always have on all. So that means that if your restaurant has separate on your sales reports, it keeps, like, say, the bar separate from the banquet area, things like that. Do you want it to apply to all of them, or do you only want it to apply to part of your restaurant? Most of the time, these will be all. Okay. If not, choose the appropriate one. And then after we do that, you're going to see up here, we're going to have to take a look at changing the activation schedule. When we're not have one highlighted, you can see here there's no pull down, so it doesn't look like that's a menu to choose from. But once we go ahead and select one and we're making changes to it, you're going to get the little arrow here that allows you to pull down and choose a different date from it. And always means every single day at the start of the system. So when the system wakes up in the morning, first thing it does. If we're going to do a set a submenu item, this is where we go ahead and add a button to a submenu. And again, if you're not sure, there's a bunch of choices in here and you're thinking, I'm not going to remember which one does what. Remember, we can always hit F1 and it's going to give us that pop-up that's going to show us the help file where here's a list of what all of those events are. And you can look through that list and see which one is the right one for what you're trying to accomplish. So here I've chosen that I want to set a submenu item. So it says, well, which submenu do you want to do it? I'm going to go ahead and add one to my draft beers. And I'm going to tell it I want to make a 23-ounce Bud Light available. So that means that button normally doesn't even appear on that screen at all. So here, if I said I normally do pint beers, but during this event, during my happy hour, I'm going to give 23-ounce drafts out instead of 16-ounce drafts for the same price. I could go ahead and have this button, 23-ounce Bud Light, appear in location row 1, column 1. I could even cover up my pint button. So if a system event tells that something's going to happen, it's going to cover up and takes priority over anything else your system is doing. These are the most important things your system has to do today. So it would go ahead and it would put that Bud Light 23-ounce button right on top of my 16-ounce Bud Light button, and nobody would have to do anything else. The servers are going to go to the same spot where their fingers are already trained to go ahead and press, only this time it's going to be a 23-ounce button that's there instead of 16. Right? And then we set the price, make sure it's the price that we want to charge for that draft one last time. If we wanted to turn a promo on, we would do the same thing. We would choose from up here, we want to activate promo. You can see that is the name. Okay, tell it what promo we did. We created a promotion called Mother's Day. And then we have the button here for whether that's going to be active or inactive. So the promo, activate promo button is the only one that kind of has a weird name. So that's why I chose it as an example here. It doesn't necessarily mean activate promo. The activate promo one can also mean deactivate a promo. So if I set up activate promo here and I check this box, it turns that promotion on. If I set up activate promo and I don't select this, then it shuts it back off. So we're going to use the same event twice when we want to turn a promo on and off. There's not one that says deactivate promo. Okay. So when we go up here and choose for whether we want it to start or stop, we can go up here and we can say we have happy hour start, happy hour end, and all the other activation schedules that we've created are all on this list. So we can see any times that we've created, we can reuse them if they apply to more than one promo or more than one specials. They're all going to be here in the list from us to choose. Okay, so I chose my happy hour start, and it automatically filled it in here to remind me to let me know that that means 4 o'clock. And when I chose happy hour end, it automatically chose here at 18 to let me know that that's going to be 6 o'clock. Okay, so I'm activating a price change and I'm disabling a price change. Those are two different events, but remember when it's a promo, they both say activate promo and activate promo. Okay, so the last thing on here that I want to stress, you can probably already guess, don't hit the delete button. All we do to deactivate a promo, if it was ongoing and you want to disable it, you're just going to be able to go ahead and choose that item, say activate promo, none, or activate price change, none. You'll just change it to nothing so that that rule doesn't do anything when it starts. And that's kind of how we go through. It's very flexible from that point, what we go. And I'm going to have Cameron go on to the next stage on where we would go after this for how to help grow your business and your sales a little bit more besides doing the promotions and some additional revenue for you when he's ready in a moment. But if you get into the promotions and the events here, and it looks complicated, you're always welcome to call and help us. We can either walk through with you or we can do it. But even if you want us to do it for you, it helps to understand what's going on behind the scenes in the system, and it may help you decide how you want to apply promos. Or maybe that opens your eyes up to, wow, I didn't realize we could replace an existing button with a new one. Maybe that gives me some new ideas for some promos and some specials that would be great at my establishment. So it helps you with knowing what you can do with your system and some additional things that you can do. And also it helps you understand the terminology when you're talking to us and helping us plan out specials and events to help you grow your business. So you're always welcome to call here at support or info, or you can call and ask for us direct. And then Cameron, are you ready to go ahead and talk about some of the things that you wanted to cover?
Yeah, I am ready. So if you'd like to pass me the ball, I'd be happy to take it, or I can just grab it from you maybe.
You got it.
All right, cool. Hi everyone, I'm Cameron Plouffe. I actually work for NCR, and not for integrated point of sale, but with integrated point of sale. So I work for NCR for a site that's called Cloud Applications, and we work with software that works with your point of sale for either marketing or operations to be able to assist you with things that you need. So for marketing, we have things such as gift cards, loyalty programs, customer feedback tools, and then on operations side, we also have other things such as reporting. So does anyone here already use gift cards with us? And if I don't get an answer, it's okay. I'll just continue on. But so for this, like I was saying, we have software that works with your point of sale, and we have a gift card service that we've actually been able to create that integrates directly in with your point of sale. So when you buy and sell gift cards, you'd actually be able to do it through your terminal instead of having to supply a separate terminal. And this can be able to help you actually increase your amount of revenue that you have coming in, and then also helps you with marketing to be able to get more customers that come in from people giving off your gift cards as gifts. But it'd be able to help drive your business and increase your bottom line. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here. I'll go through a few slides, but it'll be up here in just one moment. Okay, can you guys see my screen now?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay, cool. Okay, so as I was saying before, we have our gift card program that will be able to help you to sell and redeem gift cards on your point of sale. You can also check balances and reload the cards. So we work with a team called Card Marketing Services, and they are the ones that actually create the gift cards that we work with. They're great cards to be able to, after you actually sell them, you don't need to throw them away. You can actually just continue to reuse them. Something else that's been coming out recently, it's been more popular, is being able to actually sell your gift cards online. And so what I'll do with this is I'll walk you through actually going the Aloha stored value system, which that's our name for the gift cards. I'll walk you through that program, and then after that, I'll go over the Aloha stored value web store, which Card Marketing Services works to actually sell the gift cards, or they help you with being able to sell your gift cards online and then actually fulfill the orders as well for you. So for gift cards, there's around $313 billion that were loaded into the gift card industries wide in 2015. There's about 72% of the customers that also get gift cards and use them at your restaurant will spend more than the value of their card at your restaurant. So they usually spend about 20% more. Also, for people that actually receive gift cards, there's about an 18% breakage to where 18% of the gift cards that are purchased are not actually end up used. So you might have gift cards that are left out there that people say they only have a few cents left on them, a few dollars, or they just forget about it. And that starts accumulating over time to where you could actually have a lot of potential revenue out there after if the customers do not end up actually using it. Now, this is something that you need to talk with your state law about as well, like a lawyer in your state, to see when you're able to actually get that money, but it is potentially there for you even before your customers come back in and redeem that on goods. And then 83% of corporations that use gift and prepaid cards for will use those for incentives for their employees. So if you have several businesses that are in your area that are would come in and be able to offer your gift cards to their own employees, it's a possible way of adding additional revenue for you. Going into the gift card program, though, the way it's set up on your system, it's very simple and easy to access to both sell and redeem gift cards. So selling a gift card is able to be customized with the location that the button is placed in. So you can put it on any type of page that you'd like to, whether it was your beverages, appetizers, payments, if you had a special promo page, anything like that. That's something that integrated point of sale would be able to set up. But then when you actually sell a gift card, you can also sell several different ways. So you could sell a single gift card. You could sell multiple gift cards. You could sell a specific amount, like saying $5, or you could sell any kind of amount to where it's $5.63. But you'd be able to update your cards, and then later on be able to also receive reporting on that information to say how much in gift cards that you sold, how much is still left outstanding that has not been used yet. When redeeming a gift card, the button is also the same thing as before, where it's a customizable location. You can put it on any page that you'd like to, something that we would be able to set up for you. But you'd be able to have it to where, just like with a credit card, a customer comes in, they're wanting to use the gift card to actually pay for their meal. You would just select the payment type as gift card, swipe the card, and it would automatically take off the gift card balance, or whatever that amount was from the gift card balance, and it updates it. All this information is also stored on our data centers, and you'd be able to access it through an enterprise site. But with that, if you had anything that happened to where, say, you had a fire or you had theft and lost your backup house computer, you did not have any information anymore about who you had sold out gift cards to previously, or gift certificates if you handwrite them and create an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of them. Then you would actually be able to go back online after you get your system back up and running and be able to pull a report to be able to say, what are all of my gift cards that I've sold, and what is the remaining balances on them. And then it would automatically integrate back into to where if you had a customer came back in, wanted to actually purchase a gift card, you'd be able to just swipe it and it would automatically go back to how it was before without having to have any kind of guesswork about how much money or they actually had on their gift card. You can also apply a tip onto it, so it can be used for paying for the actual meal and also providing a tip. And then there's also the ability now to work with card marketing services who, again, create the gift cards that work with your Aloha point of sale. And they're able to sell gift cards online. So they can sell both physical gift cards that they ship to your, they'll ship to your customers, to your guests, or they can have virtual cards that will send an email with a card number. And when you bring that card number in, instead of being able to swipe the card on the system, since it's not a physical card, you just type it into the system, and then it would still be able to add value or redeem the balance that's on there. Card marketing services also, they would be able to work with you to get a shopping cart that looks and feels like your website. So I have a few pictures that are going over what it looks like from Cowboy Chicken, which is a kind of popular chain that's been popping up more recently. I don't know if it's made it to you yet, but it's got a few where they're actually selling gift cards for them, and it'll walk you through the entire process from what the customer would see, and so that way it can show you how it looks almost identical to your own website. It also connects with our API to the Aloha gift cards account. So if you have a gift card that's sold on the online and it goes through card marketing services, because what would actually happen with that website is they would create the website, provide you with a link, and then they actually host the site on their own servers. So whenever your customer goes to purchase those, it would actually be redirecting over to their server, or that they purchase the gift cards, and then from there they're connected to our enterprise site, where that's where you'll be able to get the gift card liability information, say how much is left outstanding, how much has been sold. So it'll automatically add on to that. They'll also then mail the cards to your customer, and if they decide that they wanted an e-card, to where they just have the number alone, they'll also email that to them. So So this is actually what the page looks like. This would be the shopping cart. So this allows for your customers to purchase the gift cards, check their balances, and check their order status. Well, then once your customer has actually selected the gift cards, it takes them through to the first page where they'd be able to add on information about it, say if it's for someone specifically. And then the customer will be asked to enter the shipping information. And so from here, you'd be able to actually select if you'd like to do it to where it's first class, second day, or next day. And you could then pass that along because they actually have different fees for this. It'd be card marketing services that you have to work with on getting set up with the actually building up the site and a lot of different information for setting up this account. But from there, you'd be able to select the types of shipping, and they would be charging you, but you could then pass that along to your customer so that the customer sees, okay, I have a first class shipping rate that's going to be $3.95, and then they'll end up paying for that if they need to instead of your own company. So then the checkout page just shows a summary of the different items that are going to be purchased, and you're able to also choose your shipping address there, so just like checking out online normally. And then from there, what they'll do is after they receive the order or actually receive the payment information, they'll be able to go on. They'll receive the order. They'll have some of your cards that they keep in stock. So if you had other cards that you purchased that you're selling in your store already, and then you had these gift cards that you were also going to be selling online, they would keep some of those ones that they would ship to your store and then use those to be able to fulfill your orders if you're using a physical gift card. But then once they receive the order, they would actually start shipping the gift cards. They package it up, put any kind of material in there that you had designated for it, and then be able to ship those over to your customers. If they were to actually have it to where they selected a each gift card, then this is what the page would look like for whenever they ship they email your customer with the gift card information. So then again, your customers would be able to just come in and actually use this, and your servers would type it in with the number specifically. And then it also has payment integration. So that way you'll be able to see as your orders come through, it'll add on to your amount of revenue that's coming in for the day. And since it is with card marketing services, it then integrates in with the Aloha point of sale. So it wouldn't have any kinds of problems to where if you sold it online versus in the store, the card would be able to get there and you'd still be able to swipe it. If there was anything that even happened as well, if you have concerns about, say, it's in shipment, it loses its magnet, or it goes by a magnet, and the magnetic strip doesn't work anymore for scanning it, you still do have the number that's on the card, and you'll be able to type that up into the system, and then you can do a manual adjustment to make it work. You'd have the magnetic strip then registered again to that card. But it's all directly integrated in with your Aloha point of sale. So whether you're selling it online or selling it in your store, as your customer comes back in, they should have a seamless experience, so that way they don't have any problems and they enjoy coming to your restaurant again. And as I said before already, whenever the orders are placed, they'll do the order processing, they'll pick and pack the distribution, they'll scan everything that's needed, and it'll have standard reporting as well. And that's some information about the Aloha Stored Value, which is our gift card program.